Welcome to Sex Ed with DB. I'm your host, DB. Let's get into it. So you've been with your boo for a while and the spark feels like it's kind of gone. But what if I told you I could take away the mental load of figuring out how to, quote, spice things up by doing the work for you and sending you everything you need? That's where Aria comes in. They set you up with a dedicated concierge, aka a real person and not a robot, who is available anytime you need them, and sends tips and tricks weekly as well as a monthly box of goods based on your needs sent directly and discreetly to your door to help you get started. Visit arya.fyi and use code SEXEDWITHDB for 15% off now. Let's get that spark back.
Welcome to Two Black Girls, One Rose,
a podcast discovering what we can learn about modern dating, love, and relationships from popular television. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Justine.
We're best friends and TV fanatics, and every week on our podcast, we're recapping all of your faves, from reality shows like Love is Blind and The Bachelor to classics like Sex and the City.
Each week, we recap the latest episode while discussing topics like, is friendship or passion a better foundation for a relationship? And should we be dating men in their 20s?
We both spent our 20s dating all around New York City, so we've got a lot of relatable mess and stories to share.
Listen to us on all podcast platforms, and for bonus and video content, join us on Patreon.
I'm about to get personal here, so listen up. I'm going to tell you a fun fact about me that you definitely didn't know. The lube that I use most consistently is Uberlube. I really mean it. If you were here with me right now, I'd tell you to go over to my nightstand drawer and tell me what you see. That's right, you would see a bottle of Uberlube. If you've never heard of Uberlube, let me tell you about it. Uberlube is a silky smooth silicone-based lube recommended by leading doctors, and its body-friendly ingredient list makes it widely used by people with sensitivities to lubricants. Another amazing thing about Uberlube is that it doesn't leave a sticky residue like water-based lubes do. It lasts for a long time and doesn't stain clothing or bedding. I have 3 bottles of Uberlube on my bedside table right now, ready when I need it. If you're someone who wants to feel more pleasure in the bedroom, use code SEXEDWITHDB for 10% off at uberlube.com. Hi, DB here, your favorite sex educator, pleasure expert, and rom-com critic. And I'm currently fully out of office on my honeymoon right now, but that doesn't mean that you get less Sex Ed with DB. Today, we are bringing you a best of compilation on one of our favorite topics ever, sex toys. You'll hear highlights from 2 standout episodes, DB's Magic Wand experiment, where I share my own experience conducting a masturbation experiment with one of the most iconic sex toys out there, and How Do I Buy the Right Sex Toy for Me?, where we dive into expert advice on how to find the toy that fits you best. Whether you're a seasoned toy enthusiast or just starting to explore what's out there, we hope these clips inspire you to try something new. Let's get into it together. Flicking the bean, wanking, self-loving, jilling off, menage a moi. All of these are different and very creative ways to say masturbation. Masturbation is defined as touching one's own body or genitals for sexual pleasure. While masturbation is not a dirty word, it's not uncommon to feel shame and guilt when it comes to self-pleasure. This is due to a combination of cultural norms, religious influences, lack of meaningful media representation, harmful myths we all learned in sex ed, and more. At the same time, men get to talk about yanking their chain, so to speak, with a free pass and aren't typically made to feel like they're doing something unbecoming. Hell, I can think of 3 instances off the top of my head in very popular media where we see or hear about men masturbating with different kinds of foods, from an apple pie to a fresh peach to Jell-O, let alone sharing a more typical masturbation experience. While I'm not necessarily interested in normalizing the combination of masturbating with food, be careful, girlies, you could get a yeast infection. I am interested in talking about masturbation in a positive light and being honest about the very real impacts that masturbation has for people, especially women and people with vulvas. That's why I decided to take pleasure into my own hands, figuratively and literally, with the magic wand. In a nutshell, I wanted to answer one question. What is the impact of daily magic wand use on my health, and wellness, as well as my sexual experience when compared to regular sexual activity and no sexual activity. For consistency, I knew I needed to use a single method, more specifically, a vibrator, that would do the trick every time. If you're a regular Sex Ed with DB listener or follower, you know that I've had a crush on the magic wand for a long while. It's one of my favorite sex toys for two simple reasons. Number one, it makes me orgasm without fail, and number two, it makes me do it real quick. Whenever I use it, I get the pleasure I want and always feel good afterwards. Happier, calmer, more centered. My prior experiences with the magic wand led to a few more questions. Are there real positive impacts here? How can pleasure influence other areas of my life? Could I actually measure the effect of using the magic wand on my overall health, wellness, and sexual experience? Here's the experiment. I decided the project should be a 3-week experiment. The first week of the experiment was abstinence week, aka no sexual activity. The second week was treatment week, aka magic wand use every day with or without my partner. And the third week was regular week, aka regular sexual activity with and without my magic wand. Every day during the experiment, I recorded measures on 27 variables, including stress, anxiety, productivity, mood, horniness, orgasm experience, and more. At the end of 3 weeks, my team and I analyzed the results by noting changes in each variable over time. See the appendix at the end of the article for all the details. Key takeaways. I know, you're a busy bee, so I'm going to cut to the chase here. At the end of my experiment, here's what I found. When using the magic wand every day, I experienced less stress, anxiety, and physical tension. I reported more frequent positive moods when using the magic wand every day, including higher levels of confidence. My orgasms came faster and were more enjoyable when I used the magic wand every day. And my level of horniness increased over time when using the magic wand every day. While the results from this experiment are limited to my personal experience, what's cool is that my results are consistent with prior research showing the benefits of masturbation. We don't talk about it enough, but studies have shown a wide range of benefits from masturbation, including decreased stress, improved mood, higher confidence, and more overall sexual satisfaction, particularly for people with vulvas. But these are just the top takeaways. I had 6 unique hypotheses before the experiment began. I know, that's a lot, but I'm sure you would have a bunch too if you were about to do a Flicking the Bean experiment for 3 weeks. To see the full results, scroll down to the hypotheses and results section in the article. Now a bit about my journals. Throughout the experiment, I kept a daily written journal and recorded a daily vlog to capture anecdotes, thoughts, and feelings. Here are just a few of my journal entries, and links to vlogs are in the article. Abstinence week, day 1. Day 1 of the experiment, and things are not as expected. I woke up sleepy from having to pee about 3 times during the middle of the night and the morning. Exercising on my city bike to meet a friend of mine felt good. Biked for a total of 30 minutes. I almost felt like I wanted to masturbate just because I couldn't, which is interesting. The things that really made me excited were watching Pretty Woman for the first time, holy hell that piano scene, please pinch me, and finishing my romance novel, People We Meet on Vacation, although the spicy scenes were few and far between. Abstinence week, day 6. This was a pretty busy Saturday. I was doing work and had a family function to attend, so I didn't exercise and was a little stressed. I was prepping for wedding dress shopping, which made me a bit anxious and excited. My back has been bothering me, and I've been feeling some neck tension too. I felt a body urge to make out with my partner after not connecting so much for 6 days. Treatment week, day 4. This was such a good day. And it was the first day I used porn, in parentheses, Dipsy, one of my favorites. I've been sleeping super well, exercising, and just generally feeling really good. I've been looking forward to masturbating more now compared to the beginning of the week where it felt more like an obligation. My body feels good, my anxiety is much lower than last week and the beginning of this week. Good feels all around. Regular week, day 3. I got a haircut today. I feel like whenever I get a haircut, I'm automatically in a good mood. I also had really great sex with my partner this morning, which set up the day for happiness and connection between us. I didn't have too much work to do today, and I swam laps at the pool. Overall, I felt good, was happy, and it was a great day. Regular week, day 7. Today was kind of a weird day, and I can't believe this experiment is coming to a close. Part of me really wonders if the daily masturbation / use of the magic wand impacted my overall mood positively. It kind of seems like that, plus exercise, plus good sleep, truly, in all caps, is the key to happiness, ? We shall see, ! Hypotheses and results. Anxiety, tension, and stress. Hypothesis: anxiety, tension, and stress will decrease during and after treatment week. Findings: this was true. Tension and anxiety were lowest during treatment week and remain low during regular week. The sum of tension logged on a scale of 1 to 4 each day, relaxed, neutral, moderate, and tense, was down 48% during treatment week compared to abstinence week. Did you hear that? 48%. Holy guacamole. The sum of anxiety logged on a scale of 1 to 4, calm, neutral, moderate, or anxious, each day decreased by 21% during treatment week and stayed low during regular week. Stress was 27% lower during treatment week, aka daily magic wand use, when compared with abstinence week and remained low during regular week. I never thought masturbating could potentially replace deep breathing or going for a brisk walk as an antidote to anxiety, but here we are. Mood, confidence, and happiness. Hypothesis: daily magic wand use will be associated with improved mood, confidence, and happiness when compared with abstinence week. These levels will remain improved during regular week. Findings: this was true. Treatment week was associated with a 19% increase in confidence when compared with abstinence week. Confidence levels remained high during regular week. Hubba hubba. There were more positive moods during treatment week than either abstinence week or regular week. Happiness was relatively consistent throughout the experiment, with a small 3% average increase during treatment week. This was kind of awesome to see, that I'm a generally happy person. I think seeing that made me even more happy, almost as if it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of happiness. Productivity and focus. Hypothesis: productivity and focus will be higher during treatment week when compared with abstinence week and regular week. Findings: this was inconclusive. While productivity average was up 10% and focus average was up 2% during treatment week compared to abstinence week, variances were small and there were no major trends of note. So I basically learned that taking myself to Pleasure Town didn't make me better at my job, which was to masturbate for a week. If I think about that for too long, I'll get into a strange loop. Sleep length and quality. Hypothesis: sleep length and quality will improve during treatment week when compared to abstinence week. Findings: this was false. Sleep length and quality were consistent throughout the experiment. I am a pretty skilled sleeper no matter the circumstance, what can I say? Orgasm experience. Hypothesis: using the magic wand every day will facilitate quicker orgasms during treatment week than orgasms achieved during regular week. Findings: this was true, with a couple of asterisks. 5 orgasms during treatment week using the magic wand took under 9 minutes to achieve, while both orgasms during regular week took over 9 minutes. Logged average orgasm enjoyment on a scale of 1 to 10 was 33% higher with treatment week versus regular week. This makes sense to me as the orgasms I get from using the magic wand are strong as hell. However, the data here is directional because I only had 2 orgasms in week 3 to compare to. Horniness. Hypothesis: horniness will decrease over the course of treatment week. Findings: this was false. Horniness increased throughout the treatment week. This was the most surprising result, as I thought I'd be #over forcing myself to experience pleasure as the treatment week went on, but it turned out that I became more of a raging horn dog. Fascinating. Conclusion: if you made it to the end of this beautiful podcast, aka article if you read it, you know more about my sexual health and wellness than most doctors have ever been to. Pretty neato. In summary, my experiment showed that daily masturbation with the magic wand was associated with positive influences on my personal health and wellness. The proof is in the pudding. I was a happier, less tension-filled, less stressed version of myself during daily magic wand use, and this had residual effects the following week. By doing this incredible experiment and analyzing the results, I found that my sexual pleasure is one very important piece that makes up my overall happiness and wellness. I truly feel like I've cracked my own happiness code. Do you ever want to get intimate with your partner, but just kind of feel something telling you that you're not super into it and not sure how to get the spark back? Let's talk about Aria. Aria is a service for couples that makes it easy to break out of routine, deepen emotional connection, and energize their relationship with curated experiences called scenes. You will also receive access to the Aria concierge, who's like your relationship's wingman, a real person who feels out your vibe and serves up spicy monthly experiences for 2. Pause this episode now and visit arya.fyi and use code SEXEDWITHDB for 15% off. When you think about the words pleasure and power, what comes to mind? If you're a fan, you know my answer will always be the magic wand. But what if I told you the magic wand could fit in the palm of your hand? Say hello to the Magic Wand Micro. The Magic Wand Micro may make you wonder how it can possibly represent a brand renowned for power. But once you turn it on, this impossibly powerful, multifunction, multi-speed massager proves it's a magic wand through and through. Same magic, now in pocket size. Use code SEXEDWITHDB at Lion's Den for 15% off your Magic Wand Micro now. I would love to start us off by, you interact with a lot of people, and you interact with a lot of people who interact with a lot of people. So I'm sure once you chat with folks who you train and who you engage with, there's a lot of questions that come up, right? And so I'm wondering, what are the most common questions about toys that customers come in with? And what are the answers to those questions? And then, as a follow-up to that, I'm wondering if someone maybe has a sex toy or two, and maybe they're a novice maybe in sex toys, but they want to expand their collection. How do you get them in the proper zone of knowing and understanding what toys or accessories or lube or what have you might be right for them?
Sure. Well, I'll tackle the first one with most people come in looking for a quote unquote vibrator. And about probably 75% of the products that we sell in the toy category vibrate. So my job is to ask a lot of questions. What kind of vibrator are you looking for? Have you had a toy before? What did you like or dislike about the toy that you had? So have you heard from a friend, or have you been recommended here by seeing something on a podcast or Instagram or Facebook or on a website? So once we ask all the questions and I really get to know the person and what they're looking for, then we can start pairing the right toy with their needs. We always look at the values and the benefits. Always think about allergies and being body safe. And once we are kind of narrowing it down to a category, then we just start looking at, okay, what about this item do you like? What materials do you like? Help me understand if this function, and we open boxes up and we start putting things together, putting them in their hands. They can start to feel what the toy is going to do, the functionality of it. And once we have a counter full, then they get to make their choices, and then we can then start pairing with other things. We talk about toy safety. Knowing the manufacturer's recommendations is the first place that we start. After that, we start talking about how the toy is going to get used. If it says it's splash proof or waterproof, or is it submergible? So we start giving cautions on the best way to use the toy and in what climate or condition you're going to use it. We also talk about cleanliness of toys. First, you want to make sure the toy is clean before you ever use it. That's been in a box, it's been in a cargo container, it's been in a warehouse, it's been on our shelves. You want to make sure your toy is clean. Then you want to make sure that you're pairing the proper lubes. Mostly, if it's a toy that is non-porous, like a wood, steel, glass, you have more options in lubricants. But we usually suggest a water-based lubricant with almost all of our porous materials. Then you want to think about the cleanup. We recommend an antibacterial, internally safe body cleaner. And there are a lot of great cleaners on the market. We actually sell one that has foaming action, and it dries to a light powder. And that takes us to our next point, that powder will protect the toy when it's being stored. It's kind of like a protective barrier on the toy. But there are other ways to store toys, bags, boxes. There's even some UV light boxes out there that kind of keep the toy sanitary the entire time it's in storage. You never really want to put a porous toy next to another porous toy, because a lot of the materials want to molecularly bond with each other, and they can start to kind of melt or disfigure a little bit. So you always want to keep a barrier between your toys and storage. Kind of the process in a nutshell.
That's great. This is super helpful. And I'm a sex educator who owns toys and talks about toys, and just hearing it from like A to Z is really, really awesome like that. And in terms of this person, right, who comes in and is like, okay, like I want to know what are the most popular toys that people buy. And just a caveat, right? Like even if a toy is super popular, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. Like I think all the questions, Nick, that you just said are really important to find, okay, what is going to work for Danielle if I come in and I'm asking about these certain toys. But I do think it's interesting and helpful to know, like, what are the toys that people are loving? What do you want people to know about them and how to use them?
In my time with in this industry, I have seen trends. I have seen things come and go. Right now, I'm really seeing a heavy influence from video games, anime, cosplay. I'm seeing TikTok trends. I'm seeing a huge, and I think this has been maybe about 3 or 4 years in the making. Um, Suction and pulsonic vibration has really, I mean, that category didn't even exist 5 years ago. And
Wow.
now it's dominating what most people are asking for when they come through the doors. Um, I'm always fascinated. I always ask people, where did you hear about this? You're asking about it, but where did you hear about it? And I'm so, uh, I have to follow TikTok. I almost have to be on there daily, and I'm constantly
Right.
seeing trends. Some of the most popular toys right now, of course, the rose,
Hmm.
pheromone infused products. Pheromones are kind of a big buzzword. Um, Creature Cocks, which are these really cool anime styled dongs and whatnot. We have a really cool toy called the Blow. Um, it's a Zolo. It's a masturbator, but it has handlebars on it, and you can actually mount your phone to it. So it's almost like
Oh,
you're
wow.
like you're in the middle of a video game as you're pleasuring yourself. So there's so many cool things happening. Body wands, by far, I have seen a huge growth in body wands. We've come a long way from the original Hitachi to where we
Hmm.
are today, and that category has so much power, so many different materials, and it's really become a luxury brand with some of the higher end toys. That's one of my favorite categories to start a customer out at because it's a really good starting point.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think on this show a lot, right? Like we do talk about the magic wand. I did like a magic wand experiment, a masturbation experiment, and I personally am a huge magic wand lover. And I think for whoever's listening, if you are looking to really expand your collection and really aren't sure where to start, like you said, Nick, a body wand could be a really great place because, as we know, as sex educators, most people with vulvas need or desire clitoral stimulation in order to reach orgasm. If that is one of your goals during masturbation, it certainly doesn't have to be. And a body wand has a large surface area. So if you're somebody who's really interested in clitoral stimulation, that could be a really great start for you. But it really does depend on kind of like what you're interested in, what materials you really like. Um, Another thing that we always talk about on this show is to not mix a silicone based lube with a silicone toy because it can break down the silicone toy's material. As you mentioned, you recommend, okay, use a water based lube with most of these toys. You might have to reapply it, but it's definitely a better material to be using. And so, in terms of other things around toy safety, can you walk us through like the basics of toy safety and what people should be aware of to make sure they're being safe and responsible when buying and using toys?
Well, let's just go ahead and talk about the body wand. Um, Many of them are rechargeable, but some of them are actually, they're going to be plugged directly into a wall unit. You would not want to use something like that in the tub. You wouldn't want to use that in the shower. That it seems like it would just be natural to know that, but we often pleasure ourselves in those areas. So if you have a plug-in toy, you don't want to use it in a wet space. Um, the idea that people come in and they see some of the biggest toys on the wall and their eyes get this big and they're like, oh my gosh, where I couldn't possibly. finding the toy that's going to be the right fit doesn't mean it's the biggest toy, the flashiest toy. You want to make sure that you're finding the right fit for you. And that's where my role comes in. I can help pair what their needs are with the toy that's going to be the right size. And a lot of toys now come with multiple functions, and some ends are bigger than other ends, so that as you graduate from maybe one size up to another size, you can still have that functionality in just one toy. I think that we talked about the body cleaners, antibacterial toy cleaners, and I think that's one of the safest things that you can do for your toy is make sure that you're keeping it clean, because it's not just keeping that toy clean, it's keeping you safe. I have so many people say, can't I use hand soap, bleach, alcohol, hand sanitizer? And my response back is that, we have so many different cleaners that do different specific functions. You use a certain kind of toothpaste for your teeth. You do household cleaners for your house. You do hair cleaners, face cleaners, body cleaners. There's cleaners for your clothes. There's also a cleaner that is internally body safe that will not affect the pH level of the user. And that's why you want to use a very specific cleaner for your toy. It not only conditions and cleans the toy, but it keeps you safe and makes the experience be a pleasurable one, which is the goal here.
Totally. Yeah, this is all really, really fantastic information. And like, it's important to get into the habit of like cleaning your toys before and after you use them. And it might not feel like the sexiest thing, or you're like, oh God, I just want to roll over and go to bed. Like, I don't want to worry about this. But it's important, especially if you have a vulva, that you are peeing after sex or after masturbation to kind of prevent potential UTI. And it is during that time where you can be like, all right, I'm going to pee and then I'm going to clean my toy, right? And if you're feeling particularly lazy and have a condom in your bedside drawer and you're fucking your sex toy, whatever that is, or you're putting it on your genitals, if a condom can go around that, you can use that and kind of, it can serve literally as a barrier, a protective barrier for bacteria or for whatever else. And then you could take that condom off and then throw it in the garbage. However, some condoms do have lube inside of them or have certain kind of materials. So it's just important to know like what it is that you're working with and what exactly, is realistic for you. Like, is it, at least for me, like it's so easy to be like, oh, like my toy cleaner is at the very front of my medicine cabinet so that it's really simple for me to open it up. I know exactly where it is. But if your toy cleaner is kind of like tucked inside your closet because you don't want people to see it, right? And then you're not going to use it, like make it as easy on yourself as possible. That's it for this best of episode. We hope these clips gave you a little inspiration, education, or even the push you needed to explore your own pleasure a bit more. Be sure to check out the full versions of both episodes. Links are in the show notes of this episode below. And if you loved what you heard, share this episode with someone you love who deserves an orgasm. Catch you next time. Love y'all. Our creator, host, and executive producer is me, Danielle Bezalel, aka DB. Our producer is Sadie Lidji. Our communications lead is Cathren Cohen. Our music theme is by Hook Sounds. Thanks so much to our featured guests, partners, and listeners. If you have a rom-com you remember from growing up and want us to cover it on Rom-Com Bomb, submit it to us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and leaving a comment on Spotify. Want to partner with us? Email us at sexedwithdb@gmail.com. For more sex ed content, follow us on Instagram @sexedwithdbpodcast. See you next time.